Hi, I'm Dan Casetta, and this video is a part of Vector's Leadership Academy series. In this video, we'll explore some keys to financial well-being. If you're wondering why we talk about financial management at the Leadership Academy, well, pretty much everyone has a goal of financial freedom, so it's very important to help people get there. Money contributes to having more choices and more quality of life, and it's a discipline and valuable life skill. Every discipline affects other disciplines. So this is certainly something that we want to be able to help everybody to achieve in their life. Now, Jim Rohn gives a great definition of success and failure that I think is very valuable. He says success is the result of a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And failure is the result of a few errors in judgment repeated every day. So in other words, success and failure are not these momentous things that occur all of a sudden. You don't become successful by winning the lottery. You don't end up becoming a failure in one momentous day of your life. It's a process that happens because of disciplines that you practice or because of errors in judgment that you repeat over and over and over again. And when you practice disciplines or repeat errors for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, it does accumulate into success or failure. And that's exactly the case when it comes to financial well-being. So what I'm going to share with you today are 5 financial disciplines that can help you to be more successful financially in the long term. The first is to use your opportunities. Think about what the Vector financial opportunity should be for all of you. We have college students earning $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000 per year working part-time while they're in school. Imagine the impact of earning $20,000 this year as a student and what that could do for you financially. It's very, very powerful, and if you truly understand that, you'll be more likely to make the most of it. It's very important to work hard and succeed and develop the right habits and disciplines while you're here in Vector in a positive, supportive environment. You know, a number of years ago, I had a rep working with me who said, I think I got to go work somewhere else because this is not consistent enough here. And through some questioning that I did of him, we kind of turned that into, well, I don't really have the discipline to succeed here. And I said to him, hey, well, there's a big problem with going and trying to be successful somewhere else. Are you ready to hear the problem? And he's like, well, what? And I said, this is something you might not want to hear, but I want to tell you. I said, wherever you go, you're still there. And if you can't succeed here in this environment, with the amount of positive, encouraging people that you have around you, if you can't develop that discipline here, where else are you going to develop that discipline? It's really important to use the opportunity that you have in Vector to earn a good income and to develop the kinds of skills that are really going to make a difference for you in your next career. So use your opportunity that you have here. After what you learn in this video, you will realize that you can literally secure your long-term financial future during your college years just through your Vector opportunity. I think that point is so important that I want to repeat that and make sure you got it. That you can secure your long-term financial future during your college years just through your Vector opportunity with some of the things that I'll teach you here in this video. And it starts with using your opportunity. Now, the second financial discipline is to educate yourself. The first place to look is people in your life. Most of you have people around you who are financially successful and can teach you some good principles. I was pretty lucky to have had some great influences in my early life to develop some of the right habits financially. And it started out with my family. My parents, my mom and dad, came here from Europe to America with nothing. And they had 3 suitcases and a little daughter in tow when they came here from Europe. And they built a pretty successful life financially through a lot of hard work, living within their means, financial discipline, and developing a lot of the right habits of saving and investing. And so I had a chance to watch and see that as I grew up. As a young person in the business, there was a great Vector legend named Roman Malik, who used to always come and share financial tips at our Vector functions. And I got to hear him speak multiple times and share about how just through his Cutco experience, he had accumulated a great level of financial well-being. There's also a lot of great books that you can check out that have great information that will help you financially. The first one that I ever read is called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. This teaches a lot of principles for success. It's shared in parable form, so it's fun and easy to read. Another great book is called The Wealthy Barber. This one is a story of a guy who was a barber, not a highly paid profession, but who developed a high level of financial well-being and wealth through a lot of the right habits over a long period of time. Now, there's another book called The Truth About Money, which is recommended by Adam Stock, who is a financial advisor who works with a lot of the elite vector managers. And he says this is the top recommended book that he suggests for young people to read. Any of the Wall Street Journal guides are also great textbooks about financial success. So educate yourself, read, talk to successful people. Now, another important part of educating yourself is understanding reality. And the sad reality is that less than 5% of Americans reach a state of financial independence by age 65 to 70. Less than 5% are able to live off the income of their own resources, not dependent on anything else when they reach retirement age. And this is not because the country's messed up. It's typically because people don't understand the power of compounding interest, and so they fail to start early enough and continue to save and invest throughout their life. There's a principle you all need to understand. It's called the Law of 72. And here's what the Law of 72 says. If you take 72 and you divide that by the interest rate that your money is earning, that's how many years it will take your investment to double. So if you have money invested at the bank in a savings account gaining 1% interest, it'll take 72 years for that investment to double. That's not very good. But on the other hand, if you have money invested strategically that's earning 12% interest, that investment will double every 6 years. Now, if you're wondering, well, where the heck do I get 12% interest? There's a program you can participate in Vector once you reach $20,000 in sales, or if you're a district manager. It's called our Smith-Barney program. And we can withhold a part of your paycheck and it goes straight to American funds to be invested. And the fund that they have been recommending for many years is called Growth Fund of America. I started putting money into Growth Fund of America many, many years ago. Well, Growth Fund of America has been around since 1973, and its average annual return over that 42-year lifespan is 13.55%. By the way, the last 10 years, which includes the financial crisis that we experienced in 2008, 2009, Growth Fund's return has been 7.47%. And in the last 3 years, while the economy has been rebounding, Growth Fund has returned 17.19%. So is it possible to get 12% over a long period of time? The answer is yes. So imagine what will happen with a 12% rate of return if you invested $1,000 right now and you're 20 years old. Well, when you're 26, that would become $2,000. Then it would be $4,000 when you're 32, $8,000 when you're 38. Then it would be $16,000 when you're 44. Now at that point you say to yourself, oh man, this investing thing's not working. I've only got 16 grand, and so you spend it. Just kidding. You don't do that. You leave the 16,000 at age 44 and it becomes 32,000 at age 50, 64,000 at age 56, 128,000 at age 62, and about $250,000 when you're 68 years old. Now, $250,000 is certainly not enough to retire on, but here's the key. If you started with $10,000 now at age 20 instead of $1,000, then you would have $2.5 million at age 68, or a little over $3 million by age 70. Now, even rolled back to today's dollars, that's still a lot of money for someone to retire on. It would be roughly equivalent to $600,000 or $700,000 in today's dollars. So if somebody who was 70 years old today had $600,000 in the bank, they could reinvest that at a safer, more stable rate of return of, say, 6%. They're getting $36,000 a year or $3,000 a month, and they probably have no mortgage. They're living a nice lifestyle with $3,000 per month, a decent lifestyle with $3,000 per month. That's what I meant when I said earlier that you can literally secure your financial future just during your college years from your Vector opportunity. Get $10,000 into an investment account. Any of you have the capacity to do that relatively quickly through your Vector experience. But here's the problem. If you wait 6 years to get started, what do you do to that ending number? You cut it in half. So it's so important to make the decision to start now. Now, the third financial discipline, I'm going to call the number one key to all financial well-being. Here's what it is. Spend less than you make. Simple idea, right? Duh. You're probably saying, man, that's an easy one. Well, if it were so easy, everyone would do it. The reality is most people don't do it. Most people spend all that they make, or worse, they spend more than they make. Spending less than you make is not about amounts. It's about a philosophy that starts when your income is lower. You establish the discipline of investing right off the top of a portion of your income while your income is lower. And that way you have the habit established for when your income begins to grow. The reality is most people don't do that. If you were to walk down the street in a typical city in America and you were to find a couple that makes $60,000 per year for their household income, that's a very average or normal median number in cities like Dallas or Denver or Raleigh, North Carolina, or a lot of other places out there that are, your typical cities in America, 60K. You could translate that to be a little lower in certain parts of the country, a lot higher if it's California or expensive areas. But you ask a couple that's making $60,000, how much money do you think it takes to pay all your bills, keep your heads above water, and live a comfortable lifestyle? And guess what they'll answer? About $60,000. Now, right next door, there's another couple, and they're making 10% more, $66,000. And you walk over and ask them about how much money do you think it takes to pay all your bills, keep your heads above water, and live a comfortable lifestyle? Guess what they'll say? About $66,000, right? Well, the reality is that second couple could be saving 10% of their income if they live the exact same lifestyle of the 60K couple. It's not an amount. It's a mentality. It's a philosophy that starts early in your life, and the key is to learn to save first. You want to create an automatic savings program. Now, once again, we have a great program through Smith Barney that you can participate in. Once you get to $20,000 in sales for your career, you can begin withholding a portion of your monthly bonus, either a quarter or a half or 3/4 or all of your monthly bonus. And naturally, I recommend you just withhold it all and just learn to live off your 30% commission. The way that you get this program started is you call Smith Barney. The number is 1-800-999-9995. 1-800-999-9995. Call Smith Barney and set up an account first. Then go on Vector Connect in the financial section, and there's forms you fill out to tell Vector what percent of your bonus that you want to have sent to your own Smith Barney account. The people at Smith Barney can help you pick where it's going to go, and I'll give you some suggestions here today as well. But that will help you establish the habit right off the bat of saving first. And once that habit is established, you'll make adjustments in your income and in your lifestyle. You'll live a little bit more within your means. And if you need more money, you'll just work harder to make a little bit more. But that money is being saved automatically every single month. Now, to spend less than you make, you have to live within your means. I heard a quote one time that a need is really just a want that your friend already has. And there's so many things that, we feel like we need that maybe we don't. Well, after you've saved first, you can spend your money any way you want, as long as you pay for something in full. It's better to buy things when you earn them. So set goals and be disciplined. If you have a goal that you're going to sell 10K for a push, coming up for a big Vector conference, decide that if you exceed your goal, you sell 11K or you sell 12K, you're going to take the extra income and buy something nice for yourself. That'll make you more motivated to make sure that you hit your goal. It's also very, very important to protect your credit. Your credit is a symbol of your responsibility and trustworthiness from a financial standpoint. So you want to establish credit. You want to work very hard to maintain a good credit score. It's okay to have a credit card or two, but you don't need 5 or 10. And it's very important that you're paying off those credit cards in full every single month. Don't buy anything unless you can afford to pay it off in full. This matters for things like, your credit score matters for things like getting an apartment, buying a car, getting a house eventually. All those things are impacted significantly by what your credit score is. And again, Adam Stock, a financial advisor for many of us, when I was preparing for a financial message one time, he said, tell people this: ruining your credit is about as impactful on your financial life as having an unexpected child while you're in college. When you consider that possibility, having an unexpected child in college would be a significant impact on anyone, from a financial point of view. And ruining your credit can be just as impactful. So it's very, very important to protect your credit and to learn to live within your means. Now, the fourth financial discipline is to make your money multiply. The goal should be to have the greater part of your income come from your money making money. Now, the best place to start investing for most young people is probably going to be in a mutual fund. A mutual fund is a professionally managed pool of money. So instead of taking $10,000 and saying, well, I want to buy, put it all in the stock market, I'm going to bet it all in one spot. I'm just going to buy $10,000 worth of stock in Chipotle, right? That's probably what I'd buy because Chipotle is pretty bomb. But, short of doing that, what's much better is for you to be able to put your money into a mutual fund. And in putting money into a mutual fund, you're taking your $10,000 and other people are taking their $10,000 and another person's $10,000 and all accumulating into literally millions and in some cases billions. And these mutual funds purchase many, many diversified types of stocks. So Growth Fund of America was the example I gave you earlier today. Growth Fund owns a piece of over 400 different companies. They own Amazon. That's the biggest holding in the portfolio. It's like 5% of Growth Fund is Amazon. They also own Google, Home Depot, Microsoft, Oracle, Costco, Netflix, Priceline, and a bunch of different biotech and pharmaceutical companies as well. So you're getting a piece of all those different companies with your $10,000, and therefore the investment is far more diversified and far more likely to continue to grow over the long haul. Now, it's important to consult an advisor to pick where you want to put that money. Don't just take my word for it, but call the folks at Smith Barney, and they'll help you pick out exactly where you want to go ahead and put that money. Mutual funds are best for longer term investments. There will be some short-term fluctuations, but over the long haul, you're going to get a pretty good return. As I mentioned, Growth Fund lifetime 13.55%. Now, real estate can also be a really good place to put your money, but it comes with some major responsibilities and expenses. You got to be able to keep up the property. You got to be able to pay the mortgage. And those are some major disadvantages for someone who's younger and might not have a high level of income to be able to weather the storm with some of those things that could come up. So it's a great place, but not necessarily the first place that you want to start. There are 4 things that are important for you to save your money for. The most important is for you to save for your future. That should come first. You want to start that right now, and you want to get that growing and building. Now, it's also important on an annual basis to be saving for taxes. Especially here as an independent contractor, you're going to pay some taxes at the end of the year, particularly if you make a lot of money. Now, you can deduct everything that you spent in relation to the business, and so you won't pay a ton, but you will need to be prepared for taxes. So save for that as well. Now, after saving for your future and saving for taxes, the next thing to save for is for your residence. You definitely don't want to pay rent forever, but don't make the mistake of thinking your residence should be the first thing to save for. A lot of people talk about purchasing their house and say, hey, it's the best investment I ever made. Bought this house for 200 grand. Now it's worth 800 grand. The problem is you really can't reap the benefit of that when you're older unless you sell that house and move down into something smaller or in a different part of town. And the reality is that most people don't do that when they get older because now that house is not just a house, it's their home. And so they want to stay in it. So make sure that you save for your future. That's the first priority. Save for taxes as well, and then save for your residence after that. At some point, you may also want to establish an emergency fund. This is about 2 to 6 months of your living expenses, just in case something catastrophic happens and you can't work or you have, a major emergency that comes up. You probably don't need an emergency fund right now. At least most of you watching this video don't, because you already have one, right? Spelled DAD or MOM. And so you probably don't need to be able to do that right now. But eventually, you will want to have an emergency fund. And down the road, you may become the emergency fund for your mom or dad. So it's important to have yourself protected in the case of some sort of catastrophic event. Now, you also want to make sure you take advantage of tax-deferred investment vehicles. So there's something called a Roth IRA that you all want to know about. This is money that you save after you pay your taxes this year. So you pay your taxes, then you save this money, and the money is able to grow tax-free. So you'll never pay tax on it ever again when you take it out. You can save up to $5,500 per year in a Roth IRA. And so if you just start doing that, and you do that for a few years right now while you're young, and then you let that money sit for the rest of your life, even if you do nothing else right ever again financially, just max out your Roth for a few years and let that sit, and you will be financially independent when you're older. Now, there's also something called a SEP IRA, S-E-P, SEP IRA. A SEP IRA is a little bit different from a Roth in that it gets you a tax deduction this year for saving additional money. And the maximum that you can put into it is 19% of your net income. So for people that start earning a little bit more and continue to maintain a little bit lower lifestyle, you can really maximize your savings opportunity for a number of years while you're young and really get a head start on building that financial well-being. So do these things and you'll make your money multiply. Now, the last financial discipline, fifth, is to increase your ability to earn. Part of how you do that is through self-education, learning more and improving your value, personal development. And the way you do that is through advancement. Stick with Vector and move up the ladder. If you were a rep one summer, become at least an assistant manager the next summer. Run a branch at some point, right? Move up the ladder in Vector and increase your value here within Vector also. And it's also important to avoid the grass is greener syndrome, because it's so easy to look at other people doing other things and think, oh man, maybe I should go over there. It's especially easy when you're not maximizing your current opportunities. But remember that tough lesson I taught the young man, that wherever you go, you're still there. It's so important to develop the right disciplines, and there's no better place to do that than here at Vector, where you have so many amazing supportive people all around you that can help you to do really, really well. There's a book called Linchpin by Seth Godin, and in that book, he talks about the hierarchy of value. And at the bottom of the ladder of the hierarchy of value are things that he calls lift and carry. These are jobs that have very low value that many people can do that have the lowest pay. Higher up the hierarchy of value is sell, because people who can sell create revenue where there would not have been any without them. Above that is connect. People who connect other people and who bring people together, bring teams together. And then above that is create or invent. These are people who create entirely new industries, entirely new opportunities, companies that help revolutionize the world. You are learning these exact values through your Vector experience. So stick around, climb the ladder, and start building your financial future now.